Hello people. While reflecting on the strategy games I've ever played, I remembered one rather interesting subject created by the Ukrainian company called DVS Games and published by 1C in 2007. The name of the game is Ascension to the Throne, and if you don't count the spin-off called Valkyrie Ascension to the Throne, it's the only game developed by DVS Games. I played it for the first time quite a long time ago, on some pirate DVD collection, like Strategic Games 10 in 1 or something like that. Still, it's been about 11 years since then. The memory isn't the same anymore. However, I remembered the game itself. This game is similar to Heroes of Might and Magic or King's Bounty in terms of turn-based battles and hexagonal combat, but it has an interesting feature. Each unit in a squad, which can be up to 10, is represented in combat by a separate unit, meaning that one swordsman or archer, no matter how much damage he has, can only kill one enemy unit at a time. However, even if you surround the enemy completely, you will not be able to kill all units in melee combat, because you may not have access to those that stand in the middle. I think it's a peculiar feature. Well, it's time to start playing. However, when trying to run on Windows 10, the game can crash with an error. Deleting the file graphic.cfg in the game folder can help with that, or you can immediately start the game with Windows XP SP3 compatibility settings, so the game will stop crashing, almost. So save your game frequently. As for the resolution, it is recommended to either play with the program DXWND, or edit the file graphic.cfg with any hexadecimal editor, such as Hexeditor or HXD. If you are feeling lazy, I will leave my file in the link under the video. As for DXWND, I'm a bit stupid to configure it properly. Of course, the game was not created for widescreen monitors, so the image will be stretched. When the game is launched, a mute video is shown. All the videos in this game are mute. There is no voiced dialogue at all, in which the castle of our protagonist, King Averat, is attacked. Guards and family are killed, and enemies are trying to kill the king himself, but he successfully fights back even being wounded, until a spell strikes him in the back, destroying the armor and teleporting the hero to an unknown place, a land called Oganter. At the beginning of the game, our hero, Alexander, finds himself in front of the local lord, Sigurd, who immediately prescribes flagellation to Alexander and throws him out of his castle. Alexander, being a proud and strong man, decides that he has enough of this shit and intends to take revenge. However, being with a naked ass like he is, there is no way to take revenge on anybody, so we need to get some money, troops and weapons, which is what the initial quests will help us with. First of all, we hire peasants in the nearest village, gathering all the quests along the way. Soldiers can be hired as long as there is enough authority, the characteristic given as reward for the quests, and choosing some of the options in the dialogues. The amount of authority needed is calculated from the authority of the units being hired. For example, if a unit has 10 authority points, and you have 20 points, you can hire 2 of them. When I was traveling around, I started noticing problems with the frames drop. It appears that even modern computers suffer from local grass, so it's better to turn it off to avoid watching slideshows. Considering this game doesn't look like a graphical masterpiece, even on time of its release, these frame drops are uncalled for, though the characters and units models are quite good here. While running around, feel free to go through forests and mountains looking for hidden, or not, chests. They will serve as a source of money or authority. Pro tip, choose authority. The money will be sufficient from the battles alone. In general, at the very beginning, the game does not give much flexibility in the choice of actions, because in the early stages all of the enemies will kick our ass. Most enemy squads, highlighted by a yellow circle, are dangerous, because they often have different units, both in terms of damage and range of attack and health, so do not forget to save your game all the time. Tactics at the very beginning of the game is simple as possible. Peasants are sent to death as cannon fodder. Long-range warriors, if there are any, shoot from behind, and Alexander just runs in circles without engaging in battle, because his death means the end of the game. Speaking of Alexander himself, being our character, we can upgrade him. The level increase gives us a passive bonus to several attributes, such as authority, intelligence, which here serves as mana, as well as gives us 5 experience points that can be spent to improve other attributes, such as health, damage, magic power or magic resistance. The value of experience points grows with the level of the hero. That is, on level 2 1 point provides an increase of 2 points, and on level 50 points. Considering the progression in this game, this is a fairly competent game design move, since there's no auto-leveling in this game, and combat difficulty increases exponentially. You can also increase the attributes by finding different altars, each offering a choice of 2. For example, the altar can give the attack damage or authority, or it can give magic power or intelligence. By completing the quests, you will receive not only gold, but also items, notably armor. For example, in the first village you can get simple armor with a minimum of bonuses to armor and authority. Well, anything is better than nothing. Speaking of armor, I'll tell you about the damage calculation. It's as simple as it gets. No save throws, no luck, nothing like that. Unit damage shows exactly how many health points will be taken on impact. If armor is present, it is subtracted from the received damage, so what number is left will be health lost. On top of other things, by completing quests, some NPC can join your army as units, such as Amazon at the start, or Mage near Sigurd's castle. This mage, of course, not really much of a damage dealer, but can buff your units in battle. Magic spells can be learned by yourself in different settlements, including a fireball, and it is actually the only way to give Alexander an ability to hit enemies from afar. After completing all quests in the area, you can advance beyond the starting region, namely past Sigurd's castle. There you will face a simple battle, and then a checkpoint where you can show your pass, which will increase your intelligence, and make the passage free. Non-linear gameplay, fucking hell. Right down the road, you're gonna bump into another army now owned by another lord, Conrad. Soldiers can take you straight to him, if you talk to them. Alexander immediately declares to Conrad that he is the king here, to which Conrad answers, well, first you prove it. The proof to that would be the murder of a werewolf one-on-one. At this stage, there is no way to win this fight. The werewolf has more damage than our entire health, so for now we are avoiding it. Since there's nothing to do in this area, we return to the village of Fishmer, where the game started, and talk to the innkeeper, because he can smuggle us into Sigurd's castle. The fight with Sigurd himself will be one-on-one. He's slow, but he's got almost 100 damage that's one-shot us at this point. However, tactics of dealing with him are quite simple if you level up your magic abilities. First, we cast the slowdown on him, retreat to the corner, and shoot some fireballs on his ass, or cast a poisoned weapon on ourselves and beat him in close combat. Easy peasy. After defeating him, we gain our first castle, which is shown colored green on the map. Then, we talk with Sigurd's assistant, and ask for armor. He gives us a sergeant's uniform, which gives extra bonuses for armor, health and damage, and then joins our party. In the castle, we can now hire militias and veterans, units more serious than peasants or wolves, especially veterans. If you are more interested in the heavier troops, you can go to Hunterville. There is a cave with a witch who raises bears. You will have to go to that cave to complete a quest given by the head of that village, trying to save his sick bear. As troops in your army, at this stage, the bears are very good. They're fast, resilient, and they hit hard. In short, having completed the quests, gained experience and raised a number of levels sufficient to defeat the werewolf, we need at least 130 to survive a single blow with 201 damage strength to kill it before it kills us, which can be achieved by buffing yourself with poisoned weapon spell. We proceed to fight it. Having taken him down, we talk to Conrad, who tells us that only a substantial army can restore order in Erath, since that country turned to shit. Concerning conquering Oganter, Conrad claims that the lords will only recognize and go after a strong leader. Conrad himself will only agree to that if Alexander beats him in battle. The fight with Conrad is similar to Werewolf 1, with one exception. Since Conrad is a magician, he casts fireballs from afar. In fact, to win, you need to survive 2 of his attacks. That is, you need more than 200 health points, with a magic defense of 70. I slammed him with fireballs myself, for the fun of it. On the way to the castle of another lord, Diana, queen of the Amazons, we see a destroyed wooden bridge, which can be repaired if you locate a rope from one of the blacksmiths. You can also go to the Amazon land on a raft near the castle of Conrad, by the waterfall. However, there you'll see the town of Amaz, surrounded by a magical barrier. When you try to pass, which will throw you back to the bridge, or rather to the camp, were gathered all kinds of individuals who have tested the barrier on themselves. One of them tells you that a magician from the town of Stilberg, which is currently besieged by an army of evil, can help you get through the barrier. So now our path lies down the hill through the lifts. That's where we see Stilberg, completely surrounded by the enemy. All we have to do now is get into it, so we need to go around the back and fight the enemy squad that's standing right at the gate. It's gonna be a tough fight, but with the right squad, you can do it. In the town, the mage says he will get us through the barrier for free, but he cannot leave the town while it is under siege. But if anything, the soldiers in the town will help you to deal with the enemies. By the way, do not forget to buy from the mage a spell of triple fireball, since it is very useful, because instead of 1 unit Alexander can hit 3 with it. Not far from the town there is an arena where you can hire 2 types of units, Myrmidons and Conquerors. With the latter I got to the end of the game. They're very good, but I still have one complaint against them: their models. By themselves, they get out of their entourage, being Roman gladiators in a setting similar to the Middle Ages. It's quite a strange choice, although Devs of For Honor did the same thing when they added Centurion to the Knights faction. If you follow the road behind the arena, you'll run into an enemy squad with a monk at its center. After liberating him, he will give us a quest to eliminate the evil near the temple, which is further along the road. Problem is, picking a fight with a warlock there starts a chain of 3 battles, each more difficult than the previous one, so don't forget to save your game. There's a portal on the road, and when you turn away from it towards the mountains, you can find a dude selling grizzly, improved bears, but first you have to bring him 3 common ones. After we feel ourselves strong enough, we fight our way to Gilbert Castle. Gilbert reports that all the evil that spread near the castle and Stillburg came from the portals that were created by wizards from Erath. Alexander tells him that his former supreme magician, Wulfgard, was behind everything, since he decided to study dark arts and fell under their influence. Our hero states, if he closes the portals, Gilbert becomes his liege. He agrees. Having dealt with the enemies at the portals, there are 3 armies with warlocks. We return to Gilbert. He, as promised, swears his allegiance and gives the lieutenant's uniform, which gives twice as many bonuses as the last one. Now, we're ready to liberate Stillburg completely. This means, we go there and systematically shred every enemy's squad, and then we report to the mayor. The mayor is more than happy, and gives us a ring of armor. Since it's not much of a choice, it'll do. Speaking of rings, there is a trader in the very first village, Fishmer, who is selling a ring of speed for 25,000 gold. This ring increases the speed of your units by 1 point. But you don't look at it as just a point. There are only 5 degrees of speed in the game: very slow, slow, average, fast, very fast. This means that the ring will make your units with average speed fast, and in this game the speed is a decisive factor. It really fucking is. After speaking to the mayor, we talk to Mage and head for the barrier over on Mars. He teleports us into a portal in the middle of the town, which activates immediately, and that's it. Now we can walk through the barrier. Our path now lies to the local lord's castle, Diana. All her troops are gathering there, for preparations are underway to repel an invasion from another country, Anaroth. Mayor of Imaz also mentions the mage, Raphael, who raised the barrier, and warrior Enia, who also came from Anaroth, but helped the village to survive. Diana herself, as queen of the Amazons. Well, what can I say? You look at this. This game is an artifact of a distant era. Most women here look like this. Chainmail bikini, my ass. These aren't even chainmail bikinis, they're some kind of belts and laces or some shit. So, anyways, Diana, of course, begins to show off as soon as she is told about the oath. What we do here is showing who is the boss in a fight. She is still trying to bark even after being defeated, saying she would not submit herself to any man, especially when there's an enemy at the gates. When leaving the castle, we hear that the enemy is approaching, so Alexander and Enia decide to unite in order to fight them back. Since the battle with the whole army will definitely cost us, we'll have to fight 4 battles, one after another. My build here: Enia and Alexander in the corners, to keep them as safe as possible. 3 conquerors, 5 grizzlies, 7 yeomen and a ring of speed. I haven't lost a single unit there. Having bitten everyone, Diana jumps in to finish the job. We can help her do that, and earn us some authority. Once we've cleared the coast of enemies, Enia says she needs to go to Windrose. Since we also need to go there, for it seems as though it is the only place from where Alexander can get to Erath, he offers her to stay in the squad, which she agrees to. At the same time, one of Diana's Amazons reports that their queen died in battle, but before that she managed to call our hero king.
Oh, how convenient.
Upon reaching Windrose through a half-destroyed portal, we ask locals about town and local lord. The elder says the village belongs to Tokugawa, a harsh but fair man who follows the Bushido code. Oh, those Japanese traditions in games universes where there's no Japan. That goes for the design of the Tokugawa and his Sohei, Buddhist warrior monks. Really? Here? As it turns out, there's a ship captain who can take us to Erath. However, he's in Tokugawa jail for his debts. Tokugawa, being a harsh but fair lord, says he'll execute the captain for debt as an edification for others. We're not happy with that, and Enia proposes to kidnap the poor fellow. At midnight, we enter the castle, and we take Frederick to our party. Being a smartass, the Tokugawa is already waiting for us, so we have to fight him. If you manage to kill him, you can go to Sundown, where ships are built, and as a matter of fact, you should. As the weakest in the squad, Frederick will be the main target for anyone who has magic or long-range combat. Tokugawa lands, as opposed to all other cases, will not just be handed over to you. First, you must destroy all the warriors loyal to him stationed near the castle. By killing them all, the Tokugawa lands are now definitely yours, and you can collect a new armor from the blacksmith at Windrose. Once we reach Sundown, we find the owner of the shipyard, who says he is unable to give the ships, as there is no wood to build them, since there are no shipments of wood from the sawmill. So we go there and find a single militiaman claiming that the sawmill was attacked by some monsters. Going after them, we are expected to fight in 3 consecutive battles, so recruit the troops beforehand. These battles are not so easy. Having dealt with them, we go back to the militiaman, who turns out to be a warlock setting a trap for us by order of Wulfgard. After defeating him, we return to the shipyard and report that the sawmill has been cleared. The owner of the shipyard gives us 2 ships, one of them taking Enia to her home country, Anaroth, in pursuit of her destiny. We stay in Noganter, in order to get to the rest of the lords. The first one in the list is Arthur. He's in a castle near Suntown, the entrance to which is closed. In Suntown itself, people say that they heard the sounds of battle, but no one wants to go there, except the local magician who agreed to teleport our squad behind the gate. Once inside, we see Arthur surrounded by bad guys, and we can help him. The rescued Arthur says he doesn't mind swearing an oath to us, but he is constrained by his oath to the last remaining lord, Edward, who lives on a separate island. Thus our path lies there. Do not forget to stop by the blacksmiths for a new armor. By talking to Frederick, our ship captain, we go to the island with a giant tree. There, in the village of Geltor, there is nobody but a village elder, who asks to save the inhabitants from the clutches of the Anaroth barbarians. The barbarians themselves are waiting by the giant tree. Being a pretty badass guy, we of course, save them all, although for some reason we save each one of them individually. In the village, the elder offers gold, but you can very pompously refuse it, in order to gain authority. Afterwards, we go to Edward. Edward has heard of us, and as the strongest lord who has even giants in his army, he does not want to obey. He proposes to fight for the title of king, so to speak. However, Alexander can't fight Edward now, for he's much stronger. So we are going to buy nautical charts from a merchant in Geltor. We will need them in the future. Meanwhile, Frederick shows up and informs us that he has received a message from Enya that says she needs help in Anaroth, as quickly as possible. Since Alexander can't deny her plea of help, he decides to travel there, especially since you can hire giants there, needed to fight Edward. In Anaroth, the first thing we see is a man surrounded by evil forces, asking for our help. Upon defeating his assailants, he says he knows how to find Enya. All we have to do is walk down a road with a lot of enemies on it. Our hero, of course, does not immediately recognize a trap, though the rescued character has a model of an apostate, and we have a shit of intelligence, but whatever. It really is a trap set by a hired assassin of Samiel, better known as Wulfgard, former supreme magician of Erath and its usurper. Since the hired assassin was not too bright, he gives away where Enya is actually waiting for us, in Giantville. We were supposed to go there, because that's where you presumably can hire giants, and that's convenient. We won't reach Giantville, since the gates are closed. The ogre in her Twig's castle, captured by warlocks, will help us open it. So go ahead, take out the bastards. After the victory, her Twig heartily thanks us, adding that he will order to forge us a new armor, which we will take from the blacksmith, and in the meantime Ogre will head for the gates. Behind the gates, after another battle on the way to Giantville, all the enemies arise again, but Enya comes to our aid, wearing her new armor. Oh, this fucking armor. After the victory, we find ourselves in Giantville itself, where Enya tells Alexander that Wulfgard did not betray him. He was possessed by the mighty demon Samiel, patriarch of the deepest underworld. Alexander is determined to kick demon's ass, and for this noble cause he needs the same mysterious mage Raphael, whom we cannot catch up to and who is looking for a solution to destroy Samiel. He's supposedly waiting for us in Warland right now. My god, those names. In Giantville, contrary to the name, you can't hire giants. You can't hire anybody, it's ridiculous. However, this is where the first mage on our way who teaches us the spell Meteorite, which hits 9 units at once in the squad. With the solid magic strength, it's the most powerful attack spell in the game. And we get it before the Dragon's Breath, which hits only 7 units. When you leave a town and head for the forest, you can find the Dragon's Cave. Dragon complains to us about the Dragon Slayers and asks us to help his trapped son. Ignis, the young dragon's name, thanks us for our help, and when he returns to his father, he offers a path to Warland, through the caves. If you try to go there by road, you will see a debris that only the giants from Ulrich's castle can clear. But the problem is, all of the giants turned to stone. The local mage says that only very powerful magic could do this, and to sustain it, 5 obelisks were built, 3 at Hauer Twig's castle, and 2 at Ulrich's castle, so we have to find them and break them. Ah, the obelisks, instant flashbacks of might and magic. Once we've finished the job, we return to the giants. As expected, they are alive and well, and now they can be hired. We ask Ulrich to clear the passage and proceed to Warland. The trip there perfectly illustrates Anaroth is incredibly straightforward compared to Auganter. It's just a road without any turns, and even the chests, that were somewhat hidden before, are all visible here. Having reached our goal, our heroes see that Warland is under siege, and decide to fight their way through, gradually luring the enemies. After only 2 battles we get to the castle, and finally meet Raphael, the mighty mage. Of course, he doesn't have time to chew the fat cause the city is still under siege, so we have to tear it down, and he joins our party. And that's where the amusing thing happens, the ludonarrative dissonance. The mighty mage Raphael sucks in battle, completely. The man who created an impassable barrier over Amaz is weaker than Alexander, the man who sort of prefers the sword judging by all his armor. By the time I met Raphael, Alexander could take any 9 units in one squad for one shot. Raphael is unable to do this with more than 3, and that only with weaker units. Anyway, enough of the laughing. Alexander, the giants, our faithful conquerors and knights of the sun are enough to wipe Warland out. After that, Raphael claims that Samuel can't be killed, but he can be banished to the hellhole he crawled out. You can do that by killing his henchman, Velier, and destroying the human shell of Samuel himself. Upon arrival at Irat, the group separates. Everyone's missions are, Alexander should kill Velier, Raphael will get the amulet that'll protect them from Samuel, and Anaia must clear the way to the Morian castle that formerly belonged to Alexander, where Samuel is located. Irat itself, in fact, is even smaller than Anaroth, and the space is severely limited, judging by the map. Although you can see another city from the mountain where Morian is. However, the territory is not the only thing that lost in quantity. There are few quests here, either. Needless to say, there isn't a single innkeeper in Irat, and the options for hiring troops are very limited. The only ones of interest are Nizarites, long-range fighters. By the way, according to Wikipedia, the development of this game was dragged out, because it took more than 3 years to complete it, even though devs had to cut out a lot of features, such as upgrading your troops, or different classes of the main character, so it is not surprising that Anaroth and Irat look truncated. There is even an altar left in the game, which increases the attack in long-range combat, which Alexander simply does not have. However, I can say without exaggeration that Irat has the most important quest in terms of reward. Not far from the starting point is the lighthouse where the bad guys are picking on the pilgrims. If they are saved, you will be given the Sohei uniform, one of its kind, giving +1 to the speed of Alexander himself, and this is some serious shit. In battle with Samuel, this is fucking huge. But that's not all. While traveling out of combat, your speed will also be higher in this armor. It has its drawbacks, of course. For some reason, it doesn't have a leveling up animation like any other Alexander's armor, and it'll be worse than the Emperor armor in stats other than speed. Having received the Sohei armor, you can go to Anchan. The gate there is closed, so we ask the pilgrim for help. He's saying I'd get you in, but I need a favor, save my friends at the lighthouse. We've already saved them, but he says that he won't take your word for it, so we gotta go to the lighthouse and speak to Sohei again. Upon coming back, the pilgrim gives us the pilgrim's armor to pass into the city, but takes all the rest of it, saying guards won't let us in, but inside the city he will give all our stuff back to us. Okay, we're coming through. Yet, in a place where we're supposed to meet him, Velier's minions grab us and drag us to him. We're gonna have to fight in the shittiest armor in the game with almost non-existent bonuses at this point of the game. One way or another, with a decent army, it is not that difficult to defeat him, though Velier himself is quite strong. Afterwards, you can go to Morian. This castle is located in the mountains and can be accessed only by elevators. The elevators are controlled by the Guild of Assassins, which Alexander, the king of fucking Irat, doesn't know of, and we have to negotiate a deal with them. They order us to kill a deserter, and then they'll let us use the elevators. The deserter himself lives by the lava lake, so there's no problem finding him. After killing him, we report back to the guild, hire as many Nizarites as we can, and ascend to the top. There's a destroyed bridge on the other side of which Anaia is waiting. She teleports us to the other side and says Raphael went to open the gates to Morian. At Morian, Raphael joins us and then we proceed upwards the central tower of the castle. The castle is large, and there are many enemy groups, but if not to divert your attention to the portal, you can reach Samuel in one battle. The battle with Samuel himself consists of 2 stages. First we kill Wulfgard, his mortal shell, then we fight with his real, demonic form. Both fights are very difficult, for one simple reason. Both Wulfgard and Samuel has a fucking shitton of health, resistance to magic and a magic power, and Samuel has twice as much of it as Wulfgard.
This is not okay.
The most important thing in battles, of course, is not to let Raphael and Anaia die, and not to die yourself. If anything goes wrong, a resurrection spell will bring your friends back from the dead. But, as you may have realized, the main point of this battle is to tear down the demon himself, so focus on him. In case you have any more conquerors, you can use them as bait by ordering them to cast Scapegoat spell on themselves. With it, as long as they're alive, everyone will be forced to attack them. In the meantime, if possible, attack Samuel, if not, those who have more magic power than the rest. In this battle, with his true form, there is no need to run scared over the units, only over 3 mentioned main characters. Everyone else is expendable, for this battle is the last one in the game. After the victory, the cutscene is played, in which Raphael, trying to save Anaia from Samuel, first covers himself and her with a shield, and then jumps into the portal opened by him. Meanwhile, Alexander strikes one last blow and banishes the demon to hell. Victorious, Alexander sits in front of the portal, tossing his crown up, then throws it away and enters the portal. What the fuck? The man who has been asserting everyone he meets that he is king, not some naked dude, and who has conquered an entire divided country and reclaimed the throne of his home country, simply throws away his crown. As a matter of fact, the plot in this game feels like a teenage fanfiction, like what you'd expect. But still, the game is called Ascension to the Throne. Why the fuck Alexander throws the crown away? What is this? Defeated expectancy? To sum up, in short, I can draw an analogy with games from the early access. Being bugged and somewhat janky, they often have a solid gameplay, that with it they get a hold of you. Similar to that happens here. Despite the simple plot, dated graphics, and the overall jankiness and a certain sensation of cut content, the game is pretty good. Pretty good, not a masterpiece. Being a linear adventure, it comes to an end before you get bored, and it has an interesting enough, though rather simplistic gameplay. The lack of levels of difficulty, coupled with an adequately increasing difficulty of combat according to your leveling and progression in the story, creates a good, albeit linear adventure for a couple of evenings. It took me 14 hours to fully complete it. Given that the Ascension to the Throne is now only around $3, less than $1 on latest sale, it is good enough game to compensate your expenses. If you like games similar to King's Bounty, or if you are interested in things that remotely resemble the Heroes of the Might and Magic, that's what I liked about it in the first place. That is all. Thank you for watching. Give this video a like, subscribe, that sort of things. I'll see you in the next video.